Let's do this. Yeah, there we go. So, good afternoon, everyone. We are going for another yoga stream this Tuesday afternoon. We're going to start in 4 minutes. So make sure you get ready. Make sure you have everything you need. You can use a yoga mat, of course, that's always the best option basically. But because it's a relaxed yoga stream, you can use basically anything as a surface. As long as it's soft, as long as it bounces back a little bit, you know. Mostly for your joints, for your back, it's important to have something soft to lean on. But yeah, basically you can use anything. Let me check if everything's working. Yes, perfect. Okay. Just take your time settling in, take your time getting your mat or anything you want to use as a surface for your practice. Okay, so anything is perfect. If you have a very thin mat, for example, you can use an extra towel or a blanket to put over it, just to make sure that you are comfortable. Most important thing with relaxed yoga is that you feel comfortable, okay? So there is no pain during the poses. And you can use something like folded blanket, maybe you have a cushion. You can always use a yoga block or a book to sit on. If you feel this is uncomfortable, sitting like this, use something to lift your hips slightly. Okay, that's a lot easier. And today we are going to do a very slow relax yoga. Okay, so we're going to use a lot of the postures in order to relax the lower back. And why are we doing that? Because I got a back spasm. I got some serious pain in my lower back, so I'm not able to move quite quickly. So I figured, you know, in order to do this class, I want to do it slower than usual. Relax yoga is of course already quite slow, but we are going to make it even slower today. So sometimes we're going to stay in a posture for a few minutes, which might be a little bit different than you're used to, but that's okay. You know, just see if it suits you. And I might not even talk for a little bit, which can be really nice. Just to let you kind of sink into a pose, because you need the quietness. You know, you need the attention to be able to go inwards. And if I keep talking all the time, it's really difficult for you to not pay attention to anything around you because I'm talking. Okay? So during these poses, if we stay in them a little bit longer, and I'll always let you know, I will be quiet so that you can concentrate only on what you're feeling. So what happens in your body when you're in a pose for a little bit longer. Very important in the poses is that you don't overdo it. If you stay in the pose longer without really using your muscles, which is more yin yoga, where you kind of focus on the fascia, on the tendons, on the ligaments, and they need way more gentleness from you, okay? So 60 to 80% of your range of motion is the maximum. Nothing more, nothing over 80%. So always go back a little bit if you feel you're on the edge of your range of motion. Always go back a little bit and make sure you are comfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable, it can never be painful. So it's not like breathing through pain. Okay, so we're going to start lying down. So if you're ready, just make sure you can lay down on the mat, that you feel comfortable. If you're on your back, you can use a cushion on your head if you want. Just roll yourself onto the mat slowly. Relax your head. You can place your hands on your belly if you want, or just let them fall outwards. You can bring your feet to the edges of your mat, which is about, I think, 60 centimeters in wide. And you can let your knees kind of relax onto, fall together. Relax onto each other. And try to see how that feels, if it's okay. Make sure that you pay attention, because this is a class for lower back pain. And if you're not in pain, lucky you, then you can just use this class to bring some extra stretching, some extra calmness to your body. Mainly the lower back, but if you focus on one area, usually more than one area is kind of joining you in that relaxation. Okay? So you can close your eyes if you want, don't worry, I'll always talk you through it. I'll let you know when we change to a different asana. And try to focus for a moment on your breathing. Just try to focus on your belly moving along with your breath. You might feel it if you have your hands on your belly, otherwise if you have your hands out, you can still bring your awareness to your belly. You can still bring your awareness to the breathing. And you might feel how the belly comes up a little bit and how it kind of sinks back when you breathe out. So when you inhale, the belly rises, and when you exhale, it comes down. Try to follow that rhythm, in and out. And try to breathe through your nose. If you feel the desire to yawn, to sigh, please do so. It only helps your body to relax. So don't suppress that if you feel that need. Or any other need, for that matter. If you feel you need to change position, if you feel you need to move anything, you just listen to your body. Okay, so always make it your own. You don't have to follow my class. You can just join me in this yoga session, but you can always make it your own. Change anything you like. Keep on breathing. Slowly in and out. You're not going to count your breath. Just count your inhale, count your exhalation, and just see if they are matching in length. And if they are, it's fine. You can just keep it that way. If your exhalation is longer, you can keep it that way. If your inhalation is longer, try to lengthen your exhalation. Try to lengthen the time you're breathing out, so they become equal length or a longer exhalation. That way you relax the body. If your inhalation is longer, your exhalation is quite short, you motivate, you activate your body, which can be good, but in this case, if you want to relax, you really want to slow down your exhalation. Fully in, slowly out. So you keep control. You keep control when you breathe out. And the inhalation kind of happens. You don't have to inhale the breath. You know, the air just kind of sort of flows in on its own almost. If you breathe out, then the body automatically breathes in again. Okay? Take your time. Few more in and out. And then you can slowly bring your knees onto your chest. So for me, for example, I feel that it's hard. I cannot bring both of my knees together to my chest right now because my back won't let me. So if you have back pain, you can bring them on one by one, hold one, so you can release your belly muscles a little bit, and then you bring up the other one, okay? So you slowly move them, and you can make little circles, okay? You can just roll your knees, and that way you roll your lower belly over the mat, on the ground. It feels kind of like a massage, okay? You can make those circles as small or as big as you want. There's nothing that is better or worse in this case. To change my mic a little bit. So try to do everything you do, especially in this class, on feeling. And if it hurts, you change it. Okay, so maybe the change is just to lay still. Maybe the change is to make the movement a little bit slower or smaller. If you're moving around, just change direction. Okay, so we're going to do it both ways. Just a few more rounds, rolling the lower back. Okay. Then you can bring your left foot towards the ground. And you can bring the right ankle onto the left upper thigh, knee, just below the knee for your own vision. And if you want to, you can just keep it like this. If you feel you like a bit more stretching of the glutes, you can bring your foot up and hold either your upper leg, or you can bring your shin into it, and then you have an even deeper stretch. Okay. So both are fine. Try to make sure you can relax the shoulders and the head, so there's no tension on the neck. And you might feel the stretch in the hip area and in the glutes, so your bottom. And it's important because those muscles and those ligaments and tendons are attached to the lower back. So part of the tension might come from the glutes. You don't know, maybe they don't, but it always helps to stretch them a little bit. And again, try to make it soft. So don't overstretch it. Sometimes you don't even feel that much in your body, but a lot of things are happening, okay? So it requires a little bit of your patience sometimes. And then after the position, after the posture, you'll notice that you have more space or more relaxation in that area. So it's always a bit of play to get to the right pose. And if you've done this pose already a few times, then you mostly know what suits you right now. So not what is the best pose, but which one suits you. Keeping your feet on the ground, bringing it up, holding the space under your knee or holding the shin. Try to relax the belly, keep on breathing. You're going to keep laying here for a little bit longer. Like I said at the beginning, it's an extremely slow yoga class today. And we're going to hold the poses longer than we used to. So we're going more towards a yin yoga class. We're going to change positions, so we're going to do the other side. Slowly bring your feet both on the ground. And then you're going to keep the right foot on the ground, left ankle on the right leg. And again, if you want to keep it like this, just relaxation in this pose can be perfect. If you want to stretch the glute area and the lower back a little bit, hold either the space under your knee or your shin. Again, you can close your eyes. Just make yourself aware of how this pose feels, okay? So there might be a little bit stretching, maybe a lot. See what is 60 to 80% of your range of motion for you. Don't go over that 80%. If you go 100%, you're overstretching the fascia, the ligaments, the tendons. That's what we are focusing on today. Muscles are always being stretched a little bit in this pose, but if you can relax the muscles and don't overstretch it, you put a little bit more attention towards the white areas. So the fascia, ligaments, tendons, they're being stretched a little bit more. But for that, in order to happen, you need to relax the muscles. So there should be no tension in your legs or your hips right now, only your hands to hold the leg if you're holding the leg. So keep breathing slowly in and out. And the key in yin yoga poses is to surrender. To surrender your body and your mind, which is even more difficult mostly, to the quietness, to the stillness in the pose. And to surrender to the uncomfortable feelings that come up. You know, it's okay. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to push it away. Try to be with it. And if it hurts, you come out of the pose. Otherwise, just keep the breathing steady. We're going to stay in this pose a little bit longer. Take your time. Keep breathing, don't worry. Stream's still going on. If you're watching the video, still moving. I'm just quiet sometimes, so you can focus completely on yourself. You don't get distracted too much by my voice. Gonna bring the right foot down. Going to bring the left one on the mat as well. And if you want, you can bring your feet a little bit wider again, and you can slowly move your knees from left to right. For me, it's possible to do it just a little bit because my back is not letting me move even further, because the movements are restrained by the spasm. So I'm just moving it very, very slow. Same goes for you, okay? If you're not in any pain, move as far as you like, just stretch the area as much as feels good. If you are in pain, make the movement soft and small, okay? So you activate your belly muscles a little bit, so they kind of, they take all the heat, okay? So you don't use the lower back in order to bring the legs up and down. You use your belly muscles to do that, so the lower back can relax and just go along with the movement. So you can just stretch it without pressure, okay? You can make this movement, as you can see, you can make it as slow as you like. If you want to make it faster, it's perfectly fine. Just bring them up and down, wiggle them a little bit. And keep on breathing, very important. If the body is tense, which in this case happens because of the pain, if you stop the breathing, or if you kind of holding your breath, you make it even more tense. Okay, so the body needs space in order to release the pain and the tension, and you're the one who needs to give that space. And you do that by breathing in, fully in and out, relaxing in and out. And if you feel the pain is getting too much, you stop the movements. You can always just go back to Shavasana, just with your feet stretched out and your arms wide. You just relax like that. Maybe there's another pose you need. Try to find out what feels good for you. From here, you're going to roll onto your side if you're on the back. Take your time again. I'm doing everything extra slow today, just in order to not aggravate to the lower back pain, okay? Very important not to make it worse, okay? You can come to a cross-legged position, or you can just bring one foot in and put the other one in front. Okay, so you don't cross the legs over the feet, sorry. Okay. You can bring the hands onto the knees, and then we're gonna roll the back and forth. I'll change like this so it's easier to see. You're sitting like this, we're going all the way to a round back when you breathe out, and we're going all the way to a hollow back when you breathe in. And here, same goes with every pose. Try to feel how fast or how slow you want to move. Try to feel how far you want to move. Again, don't overdo it. Just keep that 80% in mind. With every pose we're doing today, especially if you are in pain or you have lower back issues, if you ever had a hernia, whiplash. Really, really important to be aware of your movements and be very, very nice to your back. Very nice to your body. Okay, and if you're doing this, for example, if you do this every day for a week, so if you repeat this video for 7 times, you will notice that it will become easier and that your range of motion grows, okay? So it becomes larger, so you can always feel after a few days if maybe you can move a little bit further, or maybe you can go a little bit deeper into a pose. That's always, always, always a possibility, but never from the start. Never push your body into that movement, because you will make it worse, okay? And that's not what we want. We want to keep it soft. Okay. Slowly come back to the middle. If you want to, you can make a circle this way. You can keep the movement going if you want. Otherwise, we're going to make a circle to the side, all the way to the back, other side, and all the way to the front. Okay. And again, use your belly muscles for this. Okay, so you don't need the lower back. The back is just moving along, and it doesn't have any strength on this. Just keep on. And again, make them as fast or as slow as you want. You can go the other way as well. So you're going both ways. Just relaxing, just moving, breathing. Just feeling the importance of the breath. Very, very important. Way more important than the movements you make, okay? So never try to go through the motions if you forget the breathing. Slowly we're going to come back to center. You take your time, just resting in the middle. And then you can come to a child's pose, okay? So if you are in this position, you can roll over your feet onto your hands and knees. And you can choose to come into a child's pose with your knees together, feet together, and just bring your hips towards your heels, and you can rest your head either on the ground or on your hands. You can bring the hands forward or along the back, all the way towards your feet. So all these options go. If you need something else, if you need your belly to give your belly more room to breathe, you can bring the knees outwards towards the edges of your mat. Need to adjust my mic again. You can bring your knees towards the outside of your mat, and then you just come forward again. You can keep the hands long, the arms long, but then the belly has a little bit more room to breathe. Okay? So both options are fine, whichever is most comfortable for you right now. And just keep the breathing going. Okay. Try to stretch out the back long. So you bring the tailbone back, all the way back and down. You can stretch the arms or just relax the shoulders. You'll notice that if you keep your arms alongside your legs, it's more relaxed for the shoulders, but it can be a little bit harder on your neck or your head. Keeping the arms out in front of you will release some of the pressure on your head. You can always keep your hands under your head, so your head is lifted a little bit, which can be nice too. Whichever position you're in right now, try to concentrate on your breathing again. Try to concentrate on the inhalation, the exhalation, the length and the rhythm of both. Keep it as natural as possible, but again, if your inhalation is longer than your exhalation, try to lengthen the exhale. Just make it slower through the nose, keep control. And don't push it too much. You can practice, you can play with this. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. You will notice that if you practice, you will have progress, and it just goes as slow or as fast as it wants to go. And sometimes just being aware will already change things. So keep on breathing. We're going to stay in this pose a little bit longer. And then you can walk your hands forward. You keep your feet on the mat, keep your knees on the mat. You just walk your hands towards the front of your mat. Activate your belly muscles if you're lowering the hips. So don't hang in the lower back because that's painful. Bring your hands under your shoulders. I have to do things very slowly, guys, so bear with me here. And you have a hollow lower back. If that's too much, for me right now, that is way too much. I'm going to bring my hands forward a little bit. So I make the rounding of the back far less intense. Try to bring the elbows a little bit together so they're not wider than the shoulders. Okay, that way it's easier to keep them like this. It doesn't cost that much strength. If you put them outwards, you're going to hang in the elbows and it's very uncomfortable for your joints. So try to keep them together. And in this pose it's important that you relax as well. Okay, so it's yin yoga again. You can bring the feet a little bit outwards if you like. You try to relax the belly, your glutes, the lower back, your legs. Just keep it a very, very soft pose, okay? And just breathe in and out again. And it might feel different if you have your belly touching the ground. You know, it's a different feeling if you breathe in. But try to keep the belly engaged in the breathing. So even though it's pressing against the ground, pressing against the surface you're on, keep it engaged. Let it press the surface. It's okay. Don't let it change your breathing into this high, kind of stressed out breathing where the breathing is just high in the lungs. Keep it slow, relaxed, and comfortable all the way down to the belly. If you want, you can keep your head up, like I'm doing. You can also just let your head hang down. Okay, so there's no difference for the lower back. And sometimes it's nicer for the head to keep that relaxation all the way through to the neck. And just let the head relax. Both is fine. I'm going to stay here just a little bit longer. And then very slowly, you can bring your hands under your head. You can just relax your head on your hands. Okay, so we're going to lay like this. And you can bring your toes towards each other. You can bring your heels of your feet outwards. That way you open up the lower back even more. See if it's possible for you to relax that way. Sometimes it's hard. And right now I feel it's quite hard for me to relax laying on my belly because it's hard to relax my muscles in my back because they are trying to protect me. They're trying to protect my lower back by tensing up, you know, to catch up, to catch the pain. So sometimes it's very, very difficult to relax the muscles in an area where you are in pain. And that's okay. Just try to be aware of the fact that you might feel some tension still. Keep breathing very slowly through that area. So you focus on that area. Focus on the lower back in this case. Try to bring in the oxygen, the tension there. And it's okay. Just tell yourself it's okay if you can't relax. It's okay if it's tense, even painful maybe. You're working on it. We're working on it together. Okay, so it's going to be fun. From here, we're going back to a child's pose again. It really helps if you place your underarms on the mat, bring the nose down, and you activate your belly muscles again. Okay, so it's easier to come up. Activate them, and then try to come onto your elbows and your knees, and you bring your shoulders and your hips simultaneously from the ground, so you don't hang in the lower back. You activate your belly muscles, so you use your strength to come back up, and you can walk yourself all the way back into a child's pose again. Make it slow, as slow as you need to. So your body needs to adjust every time you change positions, especially if something's tense. Every time you change positions and that area is being affected by the change, it might hurt a little bit. And again, take your time to go with all your attention, all your awareness towards that place, and breathe. Just breathe. Let it relax again as far as possible. And sometimes that means that the first few breaths are even more painful because the relaxation is painful. See if the pain goes down, so if it actually relaxes, or if it gets worse. If the pain gets worse, this pose is not for you. Change positions. Okay, so you come up, or you're gonna lay down and stand, whatever you feel is needed. If the pain goes down after a few breaths, then you're actually relaxing the area. And the pain is just because of the change. From this child's pose, you can bring your hands towards your body into a hero pose. And take a moment here. If you might experience some dizziness or some heaviness from the pose, here you can neutralize that. Okay, so we're taking a few moments in hero pose. And from here we're going to a dangling pose, which means we're going to stand up. We're going to keep our head down, so we're going to do it step by step. Bring your hands, fingertips or whole hand, whatever is good for you, on the ground. Roll your toes under, curl them under, and then you slowly bring your knees off the ground. Okay, so you're going to sit like this. Keep your fingertips on the ground, so they keep touched. Otherwise you use your blocks or your books to put your hands on, so you lift your hands, so they keep being supported. You keep your hands on the surface, and then you slowly stretch your legs as far as possible. Maybe that's just a little bit, maybe it's a little bit further. Make sure you keep your hands relaxing or pressing onto something, so you don't get all the pressure and all the hanging on the lower back. That's usually, if you're in pain, that's way too much. If you're not in pain, you can release the hands, or you can just cross your arms so you can fully hang in the lower back. Keep the knees bended at all times. Also, if you're not in pain, if you're perfectly cool on the lower back, keep the knees slightly bended as much as you like, and just relax forward. But keep your hands helping you support the lower back, so that way you can control the pressure. If you're hanging forward without any support of the hands, you cannot control how much pressure, how much weight is hanging from the lower back. Okay, this way you can control. You can push yourself off the ground a little bit further to release pressure, and you can let yourself come forward. You can release the pressure of your hands a little bit, and let the lower back stretch more. Keep that control. Try to relax the toes and keep the weight evenly divided on both feet, and also onto the back and the front of your foot. Okay, so you're standing really strong, in balance in the middle. Keep the breathing going. Maybe you want to wiggle. You can always just kind of one by one stretch your legs a little bit, and bend the other knee,
That way you kind of wiggle the lower back. You move it a little bit from side to side, from hip to hip. Only if it's comfortable. If it's not, just keep it quiet. Also, with your hands on the ground, you can walk towards the outside of, for example, the left foot. That way you are not only stretching the back, but you're also stretching the side, which can be really nice if that area is tense. So you can hold that for a little bit. And you can walk your feet back to the front, and then all the way towards the outside of your right foot. And again, back to the front. Okay, from here, we're going to go down again. Bend your knees onto your toes where your heels are coming off the ground. Once you're there, bring your hands on the ground. Fully lower your knees. So no pressure, in no case on the lower back. You just use your belly muscles for this. And then we're going to come back onto our back. So where we started from, going there again. Take your time, rolling all the way onto your back. Again, if you want to use a small pillow under the head, it's fine. But it can be nice to just make a long neck here on the ground. You can bring the knees out again. You can maybe wiggle them if you like. So try to find out which movement is good for you here. Maybe just want to lay still. For me, this is nice to just hold them up and roll them a little bit. And sometimes just sighing is nice, or yawning. That way you can help the body with the relaxation. We're going into our final pose before we go into Shavasana. We're going into a twist, which we do in this position. We start with our knees up. That way the lower back is long, so you don't compromise it, you don't compress it. If you want, you can put your feet on the ground and put your hips slightly towards the right. Then you bring your knees up, and you can bring your knees onto the left, all the way to the ground. Try to keep your right shoulder on the ground. Okay, so if it's coming up, put something in between the knees. That way you have a lot less pressure on the right shoulder, so it can relax onto the ground. The same as your right arm, just put it down. Okay? Same goes for any too much stretch or pressure you feel on the right side of your hip, right side of your leg, or on your lower back. In between the knees, if you put a pillow there or a block, you release the pressure. So you still have the twist, but not too much. You can bring the head all the way towards the right, so you're facing the right hand if you want. That way you twist your neck as well, but just make sure that it's comfortable. And again, that you can surrender in the pose. Surrender means that you feel your muscles are not working. So your muscles are not active. They can just let go. And then the pressure and the stretching or compression is brought onto the fascia, ligaments, tendons. And that's the tissue that is quite tight. It's way more tight than muscles are. It becomes tighter when you get older, or if you are very active in certain sports, running for example. And it's very good to include some of this kind of yoga into your routine, so you stretch the tissues again. Okay, so that's a tissue that needs more time to stretch, and you can't stretch it actively as you do with muscles. You need to surrender into this and just see how far it gives in, and when you feel that it stops you in the movement, and that's where you should stop, and then bring it back a little bit, so you don't put the full 100% stretch on it. If you do that, if you are actively stretching fascia or white tissue, it's like a small elastic band. You stretch it, but once you let go, it just comes back really fast and you get more pain from that when you're done than you had before you started. So try to be okay with maybe not feeling that much in your body right now. Trust that your body knows what to do, even in a very soft pose. Okay. We're going to change sides. Help your knees up if you have pain. Activate your belly muscles again. Help your knees up all the way to the middle. Make sure the back is straight again if you move your hips. And we're going to go the other way. So if you want, you can move your hips a little bit towards the left. Bring the knees all the way up to the chest. And then roll them all the way towards the right side. We're going to just relax there. Left hand goes outwards. Make sure the left shoulder is on the mat. And the sides might be very different, okay? So if you feel this side needs another adjustment, make that adjustment. Make sure you are comfortable again in this pose for a little bit. Just laying down with awareness. And that's all you have to do. Just to be aware of your body in this pose. What's happening? What do you feel? What do you notice that you might not have noticed before? And try to keep that softness in the pose. Don't go over 80%. Keep it very, very gentle. Very gentle. And the breathing is a good way to measure that. If you can breathe fully towards the belly, easily, naturally, it's usually okay. If you feel the breathing is getting a little bit harder or tense, or it's going up, more up in the lungs instead of the belly, if you're holding your breath, then you are over your limits in that case, and it's not functional. So try to bring it back a little bit. It's okay to do an easy pose. And yoga might have that image of very tough, very difficult poses where you need to be extremely flexible to do them. But the opposite is true, actually. You don't need to be flexible to do yoga, and yoga doesn't only has or consists of all these difficult poses. There can be difficult poses, sure, but what is difficult for you might not be difficult for me, and the other way around. And every pose has an easy pose as well, which is very important because it's not about the difficulty of the pose, it's about how your body and your breath responds to that. And that's where growth happens. You can just find your postures, your asanas, and grow from there. Not forcing your body into all these kind of difficult positions that might not do you any good. You're slowly going to come back. Keep your feet on the ground, activate the belly muscles again. Bring your knees all the way up. Straighten the back again if you adjust at the hips. And you can choose what you want. Maybe you want to bring your feet out. I have to see if that's possible for me. You can just lay in Shavasana like this. If that is too much for me and for the lower back, for the spasm, it's not going to work. My muscles won't allow me. You can bring the feet back up, mat wide, and let the knees fall together. So you let the knees rest in kind of a triangle towards each other. That way the lower back is completely supported by the surface, which can relax usually a little bit easier. Again, you can bring the hands on the belly, you can bring them outwards. And just keep breathing. So the main thing in Shavasana is that you can let go. There's no way to do this right or wrong. The only thing is relaxing with awareness, which kind of sometimes is difficult, so your mind will wander, to always try to move away from the moment into past or future. Try to bring it back to the present, try to bring it back to Shavasana, to this asana, every few seconds again. So try to become aware of how your mind is drifting and the ability to bring it back. Just feel how you are touching the surface, feel how you're breathing. Maybe you notice some leftover tension anywhere. And in this stage, this point of your practice, try not to improve anything. If you feel tension, just feel it. It's okay. Maybe you want to let go, maybe you don't. And you're just going to stay here for a few more breaths. You can always come up early, just come to a sitting position, or you can just stay here just a little while. If you want to come out of Shavasana, you can make small movements with the hands or feet. Maybe you want to take a deep breath in and very slowly out, just to bring that action back, to bring that movement back into the body. And then we're going to roll to our sides, preferably the right side. If that's not possible, bring yourself towards the left. Slowly lower the knees towards the ground if you have them up. Roll yourself all the way towards the side. And you can stay there again for a few breaths, just to acclimate kind of in this position, before you bring yourself back up. Use your belly muscles for that, so don't use the back. Push yourself up from the hands all the way towards sitting back like this. Okay. And know that you can always sit on a chair if the ground is uncomfortable. Okay. Or use a blanket, anything you want. And take a moment when you're sitting to kind of reflect. So you reflect on the last 45 minutes, maybe you want to reflect on longer, on a day or a happening. You can always turn off the stream or the video and go into meditation after yoga. Usually the body is softer and more willing to be still, to become still after yoga. And it's easier to go into a meditation session if you want. Otherwise, we're just going to end this session in a few moments. Take a few breaths again. Maybe you feel anything in your body that is worth noticing right now. Maybe you don't feel anything, or it's just, warm and fuzzy. It's fine too. You can bring your hands together in front of your heart. Yoga is about accepting what is. Don't hold on to past events. Try to figure out what the future will bring. Just try to be in the moment and accepting every moment exactly as it comes and go from there. Find your way, make your choices. You're part of everything, and everything is a part of you. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.
Thank you so much for going with me on this yoga session. I hope it was a good session for you as well, even if you have no lower back issues. It might have just been very relaxing. If you have any questions or any comments, if there's anything you'd like to share with me, please just leave it in the comments. I will always answer that. If you have a more private question on my website, there's a link here below. You can just leave me a message, okay? And I will answer that. Otherwise, I'm hoping you're having a great day, great evening, and I'll see you next time. We're having a live stream again tomorrow morning at 8:45. Same day, same time on Thursday, and we're having a relax yoga class again on Friday at 5 p.m. Okay, can't even stand up. Lower back issues are the worst kind for me. Okay. Hey. Bye guys.